A good night of Shabbos, Parshas Pנחas. So, yeah, I'm kind of feeling that it's actually kind of late, right? It's almost Shabbos. But then again, it could also be that it's what perfect time than now to go into Shabbos with exact intention where it needs to be. So what decides? What decides if it's late or if it's exactly where it needs to be? The circumstances from outside surrounding you. Yeah, maybe. What creates those circumstances? So it seems like words, but is it actually real? Which means that if I change the way I read it, if I change the way I see it, I choose how I want to see it. So that will dictate and change the surrounding. Is that real? So for that we need the koyach hamedama. The koyach hamedama is the imaginary mind. But yeah, how does that work? What are we talking about? So everything has its way of the rhythm that it needs to go by and at what pace it needs to move in order to generate life force. Person has to work, he can't stay at home, he gets depressed, he needs to be out there. Some need to study, some need to work harder, a softer, different. Everybody has their way of generating. Somebody breathes this way, another person breathes that way. So everybody has their one guy runs fast, gets out of breath, the other person wants to lift weights. It's a different expression. It's a different way of generating self, so I can bring more life force to generate more life force within, because the body's just full of energy. So, but we can see with the in other words, and if one is this all is run on a mat. Everything is run on circles of moving energy, different shapes and different mats, like a screen, electric screen, a mat made out of electricity, that different realities are different. The way a person lives, that's where he needs to express himself. So looking at animals, different birds, every bird flaps its wing at a different rhythm. You have one bird that is slow and steady, and then you have the pigeon that has to flap a lot of times. Then the little ones even more, even faster. What's going on over there? Think about it. I mean, if the air is that thin, then why does the eagle get away with flapping it less? Yes, he has bigger wings, but it's still very thin. Versus if you see the way the eagle flaps its wings and it holds him, and the pigeon has to go much faster in order to generate energy, to be held. Well, I don't want to say not generating energy, just I want to make another point. The point that they're living on different realities and on different frequencies and different channels. So therefore, tapping into the eagle is at a higher vibration. He has brains. So he knows how to be at that level, that he can just be fully tuned into a different vibration. Let's put it this way: a vibration that the pigeon can't see, doesn't even know that it exists, such a high altitude. He's very present with where he's at fine. Right? Even the bee stands in one place and buzzes, then it jumps. What is that? What is that jump? What's going on over there? Why can't he just fly like a fly? So that too, he creates a pocket, and then it opens up for him. He's trapped in an energy. It opens up, and then he goes. How it moves, it may be by intention. What's pulling him, wherever he's going. Everybody's on a mission. Everybody's pulling something. He pulls the pollen, whatever's pulling him. That's where he's going. So the koyach hamadama, the imaginary mind, is also on what mat and what vibration are you on? Are you at? Where are you imagining? Because whatever I'm imagining, that's what it's going to be attracting. That's what I'm surrounded by. But if I raise that and I start thinking in a different and a higher frequency, then all automatically this will just evaporate. It will shut down. It will go out of sight at the most extreme level. But not in others. It's going to change. So the koyach hamadama is a thinking, a thought process that bounces off somewhere. You send out a thought, but it's in Behemoth world, which means that it's surrounded in it's limited as to how far it can go. Very, very limited. It's almost being immediately met by resistance. So, that is what that's the gullus where the mind is trapped. That's the gullus, and this week Pנחs ben Elazar ben Ahanakohen Heshivas Chamasi, and he becomes Eliyahu Novi, and Eliyahu Novi is Mavasa B'Siris Tevis Geula Veheshav Bovis Labuna Labuna Malavosam. Eliyahu Novi is a type of human that transformed into a malach, and he can even higher than that, and he can just come and go into this world because all it is just the different bodies are able to show up in different places. Like the physical body cannot go into Gan Eden. It can't because it's right here, but it's a different vibration. It's like the pigeon versus the eagle. It's right here, just a different vibration. So sometimes to the point where you can't even see that you don't know it existed. Knowing that it exists and understanding how it works, but we don't even know that it exists. So Pנחs ben Elazar ben Hanakohen, what happened is that when he went in the Kmasi, where he killed Zimri ben Sali because he was with a Midianite, and the Baal Po'er, there was a Vedazara, and he killed him, and therefore he was rewarded with that. And what happened was at that moment is that his neshama flew out, Parcha because of fear, because he was right there by the tribe. And Nadav and Avihu's neshamas, when he looked up, he saw their neshamas, the oasis, and that came into him. It came into him, literally came into him. It was like the Mario brothers, where it just eats a mushroom and it changes shape. Or any type of thing, like the coins, they fall on top of your head. And it just upgrades. The same thing, these two letters fell into his head, and he upgraded. He became Eliyahu Navi. Now he had the neshamas of Nadav and Avihu. Who is Nadav and Avihu? They brought fire, Ejazara, and it took them. They did the avodah while they had wine. They were very, very focused on wine. Can you imagine? Shikir. They were not shikir. They were very focused. They got the job done. They went all the way to the end. Klas nefesh. But they were not married. They didn't have the grounding, so they just had nothing to hold them here. But they went in. They're not the Manavir. They're Kedoshim. So they went by the fire, and now Eliyahu Navi brought Pנחs brought that fire is the neshama. He brought it in through how? Because finally there was an opening where this very, very intense light was able to come into Veld. It was able to trickle in like the two coins on top of the head, able to trickle into Veld, because Pנחs did this crazy act of kanaz where he just went and with everything to say this is wrong. Yeah, not to get into the whole thing. So he met that vibration of almost like a level of next also love Mashiach Geula. So Nadav and Avihu were able to come in, and he became Eliyahu Navi, and he lives forever. He lives because he goes in and out. In other words, he leaves the body, and then he goes into to Gan Eden, a different all the world. All the channels are open for him. Similar to a Rebbe. A Rebbe has that type of power. I don't know to what level, but I'm just saying that's the type of Tzaddik Gozer Kishbarach Mekam. It's higher than a Navi. Prophet just repeats. So different levels of prophets. Yeah, Nadav and Avihu, Eliyahu and Navi. So he can go in and out. He can move in and out. So Parshas Pinchas, and also how did this happen was by Bilam. Remember, Bilam last week he blessed. He was forced to give us to bless Am Yisrael, and from those blessings we understand the curse, and we also understand what he had in mind, and we also understand um, where we're at. Like he said stuff about this nation that it was, whatever. Yaakov, there's a certain level of awareness and just it's channeling the energy, the oiris in a different way, very edel. So it's a different light. It's a complete different light because this is a vibration, the level of the eagle, let's say, that it's very refined. The air is very thin, very focused, and the eagle is gliding that, right? So so now that was activated, and Pinchas finds that within him, and he opens up a kav, of Nadav and Avihu, which is Geula, which is Yechida, Achdus Hashem doing Welt. He connected that fire with this fire. He was holding it right here, and by doing that, the bubble burst, which means that the koyach hamedama that was limited as to how far it can expand because there was a wall right in front of you, that bubble burst because of Pinchas, because of Eliyahu Navi, which is bringing in this Oirish Mashiach. Eliyahu Navi is Mashiach. The Modern talks about it. We did it last year. So that is Parshas Pinchas. This is what's going on this week, especially in the 3 weeks. Shlosh is Me'agwal. Shlosh is the Ben Amatzarim, which is we'll have to get into that too. It's very, very special times, intense, but opportunity. So the question is how do we see each other? Now that the imagination is, you can expand on your imagination, the Koyach HaMadama. How do we see each other when we look at somebody else? How do I process that? And noticing that it's being processed with judgment, and that's the nachash, that's the snake, that's the right there, that's the gula, that's the curse of Bilam that he wanted to. But from there we know the blessing. So being present with seeing something or somebody else, being present from an absolute present place without any machshavas, without any spins up and down. The same with I'm talking about your spouse, children, friendship, whatever it is. Just being present from the place of how do I see the other person? Because remember, it's not the more you see the other person from a judgmental way, the more you're going into prat, the more you're going into chaimer world, heavier, denser. You have to flap much more to hold up, and it's cheap. It's cheap energy. It's extinct. There's nothing there. So by activating, going into Pinchas, seeing somebody from a place of absolute acceptance, self-acceptance, even if there's something that I don't like about that person, having compassion for it, it's not easy. There's a lot of fat and grease in the way of that sensor that we're all filled with. The judgment, that's the snake, but it's cleaning now. It's Parshas Pinchas. Pinchas ben Luz ben Kohen. And something interesting where I'm always thinking about Yosef Atzadik. Yosef Atzadik. So what was the big deal? What did he already do? He was in Mitzrayim. He was. This woman wanted to be with him, and he said no. So I mean, it was first of all, it was before the Torah was given. If she was a goy, and then it was. The whole thing is not where is the koyach of Yosef Atzadik. So the koyach in that in Shmiras Sabris, which is the desire, the koyach in that is between you and yourself. It's not measured by the other person. It has nothing to do with the other person. Of who, what, when. That it was Petifar and she was whatever it was, and it had nothing to do with that. What it had to do was with because from that level he was able to do it. He caught big deal, no? Mine was before whatever big deal, whatever where is the chachma? Where is the power of it? Where's the power of Yosef Atzadik is in the fact that there was this level of desire, this level of temptation, of want, and saying no. I'm going to activate that somewhere else. So it wasn't a reward. He actually generated this level of power into Mitzrayim, in the hole. It's right there. It's all the way. It's as deep as you are. This is deeper. Yes, what Tzaddik went in 12 years. It was under the ground. He went that deep. Being alone, being sold by his family, there was nothing to hold on to. So what was holding him was his power. He went in and said, no, for the tifer kavana that he had. For his pissin, he was poiser his cholim. He was poiser his cholim. He was playing it to the end. So, and once again here about Pנחas, the story with Zimri Ben Soli is once again has to do with desire, with the Nisayan of Shmira Sabriz, and they even Rashi brings it that they will make fun of him. That look at this, your mother was giving was sacrificing for a desire, which was because Pנחas's mother was also a daughter, one of the daughters of Yisro. She was sisters with Moshe's wife. So they made fun of him, like so we see once again that it's reference with Yosef Atzadik. Once again, it's Mitzrayim and him going through his Nisayon, and over here overcoming this Nisayon. So it's directly connected once again with the desire, which means that taking the desire and really putting it into self-empowering, tapping into your strength, using your desire, overcoming that force of negativity, that force that pulls and just hurts, using the desire to overcome that, to go into a higher, a more thin air, which automatically will inflates. You go up, you glide, you start gliding because you're much lighter, seeing different. And so this is Pנחas. This is this week. I think I missed one point. I got the connection to Yosef Atzadik and Pנחas, but then there's something that is there that's moving around, spinning around, and I'm not connecting it. But I think this is basically this is the point. The point is the Nikida is the koich hamedama. There's opportunity. There's opportunity to imagine something else, to spark a different type of imagination. And yes, that's the Nakuda. The Nakuda is a different Nakuda. Is that so too, the same way all these, the birds and every creature has its way of how it moves, how it's being held and elevated. The koich hamedama, the machshava, also has its frequency. And when the Beis Hamikdash was it's mat, this energetic mat made out of different shapes that the vibration runs on, the thoughts run on. So while the Beis Hamikdash was here, that thing held, that was the center light, and we all connected to it. It was all these connections, brainwaves going to the main tower, which was the Beis Hamikdash, and through karbanas it sent out, it moved energy in and out with fire, keturis, you massive avodah, generating energy for the ganze Welt. So once the Beis Hamikdash was charev, which means that the whole the capital, the head, it sends out the signal that it's a round ceiling at the top that sends out the signal. The Beis Hamikdash is not there. Square. Okay, fine. Don't quote me on it. It's a different image. So, which means that we don't know where to send to. I don't know where to imagine to, and there's nothing communicating back. So we're just walking around like literally like Simon, as it's referenced in all over. We're fatherless. We don't have a home. We don't have a base. We don't have what to communicate with. Where we really don't want to be, and that's what causes the anxiety. That's what causes the pain, and that's what causes the lack of confidence to overcome any type of temptation, to hold, to be able to tap into that kanaz of Pנחas. You have to be a kanaz. You have to go and see the nefesh. You have to believe in what you want, and at least if you don't believe in what you want, then finish what you started, and then you can move on. It's fine. Just finish what you started, whatever that is, whatever you are. I'm just explaining a word of kanaz, a word of an example of what does it mean to tap in, where we need to tap into this koyach, this energy of Pנחas. Yes, about the connection. But the Beis Hamikdash is here, says the Rebbe, says Hasidus, all over. It's of course it's here. Kabbalah, it's here, but we can't see it. It's in a different. We don't know how to find it. We don't know how to find. We don't know our way back to it. The lights are out. We're in. It's damp, and we don't know where to go. But David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, they built Beis Hamikdash. David HaMelech, the ultimate warrior, and Shlomo HaMelech, again, the Chachma himself down here, and they created. He wrote the blueprint, and Shlomo HaMelech built it, and it's here. It's David HaMelech Chai V'Kaim. It's here. It's right here. And it is brought down. The Rebbe used to say that, it says in the Sikha, that it's going to be like a waking up from a dream. Waking up from a dream, because it's just a dream. One of the ways to create some distance between the reality and the dream is by starting to judge people positively. Without thinking, just feeling, being positively present with that. That will separate from the snakeskin, which is that heaviness. Yeah, that's the power of the desire. It's that power that the Yosef Tzaddik dealt with. That's the power you have here with your temptations, with your patifars, your temptations of the temptation of just negativity and pulling down and judging and all that. In other words, it's not you. It's the illusion. It's the rap. And to separate from it is start to see people from a positive space. Right. Why? How do I know? Because I tried it. Actually, this is, if it's always success, fine. Even one time, to have one experience of being present and noticing that there's something more softer, something more refined, something more present around you in each and every one. And if you start seeing people that way, then that's how they will start to show up. Ayin Tova. The eyes are very powerful. Shem Ab. It's very strong. Chachma. And, So, yeah. I'm happy that I took my time here, because this would have been very, very agonizing that it wasn't shared. The perspective of it. So, here's the weakness. Yeah, so that's the Gilulio. That's the Gilulio. That is Gilulio. When you have a moment like that, a moment of understanding that you are in a battle, that you are walking in a battle, it's not really who you are. You are the resistance and the fight that you're experiencing is not you. It's something that you need to give a bit or two. You need to take charge of it. Instead of being afraid of it, you need to take charge of it because it's not who you are. You don't have any problems. You're dealing with a problem. You're dealing with a problem, and once again, by getting present with judging others, that is a click. That clicks. It like removes you. It causes a distance. It shakes it up for a minute. So so that is yeah. There's a koich of that's where it needs to be. Okay, have an awesome Shabbos. The koich hamedama. Um, yeah, it's a very very strong point to understand when you start seeing that you're not the problem. You're not the problem. That you are dealing with the problem. The first step would be getting present. You're already experiencing this in your gut, in your stomach, in your teferis. When you are feeling, you're able to check into your will. You're able to check into to a feeling. Then you are already experiencing that in your gut, but you're not experiencing. The head is still stuck. The heart is still stuck. Yeah. So the koyach of Eliyahu, you're able to take that from the gut and go through all the way to the top, all the way into the keser. And to hold that space to activate this higher awareness. And now is the time. Have an awesome Shabbos.